Hello, dear everyone.
Good morning.
It is nice to see you, Paul. Yeah, I can see that a lot of are joining right now. So welcome to our regular every 14 days update on the situation in Ukraine and on the project, charitable fundraising project named World to Rebuild Rural Ukraine. I am right now located in Chicago. I just arrived and with my family, and we will be traveling throughout the majority of the agricultural United States of America in support and so-called promotion of this fundraising program. We will talk a little bit more about it today during our session. But first of all, I would like to first of all, I would like to say thank you for supporting Ukraine and for holding interest to what is happening in Ukraine and in Ukrainian agriculture, because although at the beginning the focus was made to the military actions in the fields, right now the battlefield, the actual agricultural fields have become the second battlefield. And there are a lot of interesting things that you need to know about the season this year in Ukraine and how it might affect the world. Also, I would like to, today we are expecting an American citizen who is farming in Zhytomyr Oblast in Ukraine to be joining us. He is currently on his way to Warsaw. I just talked to him. He is going to be picking up the humanitarian aid and bringing it to the Ukrainian frontier lines of the war. This is actually Poland has become a very supportive and very strong partner to Ukraine this year in this war, because they understand who are the Russians. We call them Rushists right now, because this is how they act. And you will see a number of proof today here. So Poland is kind of like a huge hub, serving a huge hub for Ukrainian aid. At the beginning, our program, Travelite, we've been also participating in helping collect the items that are needed to our warriors, to our soldiers. And right now it is working by itself, but we have another very important project. So just for those who have not been in touch with us recently, I want to remind that we have started a project called World to Rebuild Rural Ukraine. Here is, you can see the page of it. It's on our new website, www.WRRU.org. It is about actually helping the smallest Ukrainian village citizens to rebuild, first of all, their homes, because these are the pictures that of the damages that took place, that happened in Ukrainian villages. Secondly, we will be helping them rebuild their production facilities. Those would be greenhouses, barns, stables, garages, and so on. Thirdly, there will be an aid with the equipment if it was destroyed during the war. And fourthly, the last stage of support will be the actual farm animals. It is not something unknown or something unusual that it is a well-known fact that Ukrainian village citizens have been farming at least on a few tenths of the hectare. And right now you can see how much of the produce, of each type of the produce, these small village citizens have been providing to the total volume grown in Ukraine. Can you imagine 90% of potatoes are grown by small individual farmers, let's call them that way, and about 60% of dairy produce. That is in addition to what is produced at bigger farms. And by the way, it was just recently that I talked to the head of the Association of Potato Producers. And for you to understand, potato is produced in the areas which have been suffering from this aggression, Russia's aggression, mostly. So according to my estimation, the number one commodity was sunflower, because the north, the east, and the south are the driest areas, and usually sunflower is grown there. And we have already seen that there is a lack of sunflower oil in Europe, at least in Germany. Although the borders are open to export it. The second would be the potatoes, because Chernihiv Oblast, Kherson Oblast, Zhytomyr Oblast, those are the oblasts that have the most production of potatoes, industrial production of potatoes. And the head of the Association of Potato Producers, she said that about 50% of the potato area, potato fields in Kyiv Oblast, and this is all around Kyiv, and I have very good friends of mine, farmers who are growing potatoes in that region, will not be planted due to the fields being mined. However, we are not going to see the lack of potatoes on the market for this very fact. So this is how it works. Although the farmers, the bigger farmers, are suffering inability to enter the fields, these small Ukrainian citizens, they are giving a helping hand to the market of potato in total. So we are going to be helping these small village citizens who need to be, first of all, to be having a place to live, so a roof over their head. And now the season is starting, they need this help to for the season. On the website, there is a lot of information about how it works and the criteria for help. It is all very objective, and if you are interested, you would be able to look it through. All our team, the Travelite team, are going to be involved in this project. We are still working on this webpage, so more photos to come. But the most important here is that in order to be objective, we have the boards of ambassadors. Also, the more videos are coming. These ambassadors, they are Americans, reputable American citizens who are, first of all, have testified to prove that we are reliable fundraising program. And also they will be the first to be informed about the plans, how the money is to be spent, the donated money. For you to be aware that this money is not going to be directly given in cash to the aid recipients. On the contrary, we will be providing them with the actual objects. So rebuild houses, rebuild premises, production premises, equipment, and farm animals, so that it is maximum, so that we reach maximum return on investment. Also, the last part is about how the donation can go through. It is either, if it is small one, to my personal PayPal account, small one, I mean below $1,000. Over $1,000 is to be donated to our partnered NGO, American NGO, which has a good reputation of over 12 years in the United States. They are helping us to collect the money, especially if you are looking for the tax to be freed of taxes on these payments. So yeah, by the way, we have partners in Ukraine who are helping me right now to travel throughout the United States. They are covering the logistics of the project. Those are the Vilia. This is the big farm in the northwestern Ukraine. We've partnered with them for over 4 years already, and during this war, they were the first to offer us start to help the army, and now we continue with them on this project. Quantum is another, I'd say, hero of today's Ukrainian agriculture industry, because their plant for the liquid fertilizers is located next to Kharkiv, which is still a hot spot. Unfortunately, still is is being bombed and shelled, but they continue to work there. They do not give up. And now let's move to our plan of today's session, of today's talk. So first of all, I'm going to try to inform you. I'm not the military expert, and of course, not all information is available on how the actual war activities are going on in Ukraine. As you can see, here is Kyiv. This is where the first hardest attacks took place in the end of February, first mid, even until March. This was the #1 goal for the Russians, to capture, to seize Kyiv, and to get all the governmental institutions under their control. However, they failed. They failed, and as one of, by the way, very good American military analyst said, that the failure was due to the fact that Russia is suffering from the stealing of the resources, of budgets, and in 1919, Putler, we call him Putler because he's more of looking into this way to Hitler and his intentions. So he created a fifth department, so to say, the whole military department, which was responsible for creating the spies groups in the countries, first of all, post-Soviet countries, and also other countries. You can see a lot of their ambassadors are being sent back home from the European countries, and that has a reason, because they have been proved to be actually spying, but not doing the diplomatic tasks. So these troops that were coming to Kyiv, that were trying to capture Odessa and other cities, they have been actually counting on the support from those fifth departments or military departments already being present in these objects, in these cities. So they were coming from Belarus without even a fuel tank, because they had no doubts somebody would supply them with fuel here. But the fact that there was no support is due to, first of all, Ukrainian patriotism. Ukrainian people actually, they are not majority, 90%, even 99% of Ukrainians are not supporting the idea of reuniting with Russia. We are neighbors to this country, and when we see how their democracy, how their people's rights, and how their freedoms are failing there. So we are not interested in joining them. So this is #1 criteria. The second one is that the money spent in order to develop these rebellious, so to say, groups have been just stolen. They haven't been spent as it was supposed to. That's why they failed. This is one of the reasons, and that was the biggest shock for Putler, because he created this department. It was his, so to say, child when he became a president, but it failed due to corruption of his own people. The same in Odessa. The warships that were bringing soldiers to Odessa, they failed even to unload because there was no support in Odessa. Odessa people, they are not pro-Russian. The problem with this area is that actually this was probably the most successful for this fifth the department or so, because at on the very first days, when the troops started coming from Crimea Autonomous Republic, nobody stopped them here, and they were able to start moving to Melitopol, to Mariupol, Berdyansk, and also coming from here. Their number 2 object was the channel, the irrigation channel that is supplying not only Kherson Oblast with the irrigation water. This is very agricultural region. I would say this is similar to American California, because Dnieper River has the set of channels coming from the were built in Soviet times. And the very important fact that when Crimea was signed up to Ukraine, Ukraine was obliged, it was within the Soviet Union, Ukraine was obliged to build the, first of all, recreational objects here, secondly, bring up the agriculture. And they, Ukrainian people, have proceeded with the channels, with the water, irrigation water supply channels to Crimea to cover this area with water. And they wanted to let the water go in. Unfortunately, they succeeded, and until now, they are holding these positions. Terrible things are happening in Kherson. I have a very good friend of mine. Actually, he was the first Ukrainian farmer who supported me and who joined the first of my business trips to the United States in the year 2008. It was the trip to Ohio, and he pulled up his friends and he made up a group traveling with me. So we communicated with him a couple of times. He is a very pro-Ukrainian. He's a patriot. What he was saying is something similar to what is happening in Bucha, unfortunately. And we right now, everybody who is literate, I mean, who can read, in Ukraine, understand that this whole war is about genocide of Ukrainians. First of all, they had these lists of patriots in each city. Why would they have them? They purchased about 40,000 or more, I'm not sure, of plastic bags for the corpse, for the dead bodies before the war. They, once they came into Bucha and left it, when these terrible stories from Bucha, Borodyanka, Irpin, Hostomel, and all the areas around there came into the open media, we understood that they were given free hand to kill Ukrainians, simply to destroy the nation. This was the plan. This is what they call denazification. Actually, it is denationalization, so destroying the nation. And this is what was happening in Ukraine for a couple of times already. So about Kherson, right now the farmers are forced in Kherson to plant what is needed for Russia, the crops that are needed for Russia. Also, the equipment of the farmers is being taken to Crimea force. So it is being stolen actually and deported to Crimea Peninsula. Every day we hear that people are missing, especially those who are patriots. So these lists are working, unfortunately. We do not have much information about Melitopol, but you know what has happened in Mariupol. The city is totally destroyed. So there is 95% of buildings totally ruined. And this is what they call helping the Russian-speaking people. Actually, they help them lose their lives. In this area, there is a sort of calm situation right now, and they are, Ukrainian military, they are demining the fields. I'm sorry, there is sound coming. Okay. So they are demining the fields. In Russia, there is such a war machine that they showed on the parade about 2 or 3 years ago, and they can mine the fields within the distance of about 30 to 50 kilometers with a lot of mines at the same moment. It is like Grad machine. It is shooting these missiles and they're hitting the ground. What they're doing, they're mining the actual fields, not the roads, not the positions where the military stayed. They were using it to mine the agricultural fields. And the cynicism of this is that they called this system as the tillage. Can you imagine that they're doing tillage with the mines? And right now, I've heard a number. I haven't checked, but Ukrainian total area is about 600,000 square kilometers. But if you look into the dangerous areas which need to be checked for mines, it comes up with 300,000. So actually, it is like the half of Ukraine needs to be demined. Now let's go to the facts here. I have brought some. Okay, so this is also one of the maps. I have brought some facts here, some photographs for you. You see, this is the village building, and this is a missile.
Roman, you're not sharing your screen. We don't see it.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I thought that I did. Just a second. I will retry it. What about now? Now is it seen?
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. So I will go back just a second to the map because I was talking, but here is the map. So here is this is Odessa. It is okay. Kherson Oblast, where they have this irrigation system. This is Mariupol, Berdyansk, Melitopol. All these areas right now are under control of Russians. These these areas, this is where they try to enter, but they are not succeeding. And all of those small stars, this is where they are bombing. It was just a couple of days ago that in Lviv, the tire changing station got a missile and a family died there just because they came to change the tires from winter to the spring one. So here is the photo I was showing, a village house with the missile parked next to the doors. The same here. So the map. This is the news. In Kiev Oblast, they have cleared from the mines and from the dead bodies about 300 kilometers of the roads. It's about 200 miles in Kiev Oblast only. This is the information about the losses of Russian Empire. Until yesterday, I was thinking that this is maybe too optimistic because it is informed by Ukrainian side. But yesterday there was a news in Russia, and it was deleted just in 10 minutes after it was published, that they lost about 13 to 1,400 thousand soldiers, and 7,000 are missing. It makes up pretty close to it. You see the tanks, the armed personnel vehicles, artillery systems, and so on. This is what we get in Ukraine as the report on the success of our forces. This is again the map of Ukraine. Good news today that I found that Wizz Air company is starting to sell their airplane tickets to Kiev, Lviv, Odessa for July. Maybe they know more, but this is good. In Kyiv, this is the list of the farmers markets that are going on this weekend. The small farmers market, they are supporting the supermarkets with the supply of the vegetables and sales of the farm produce. So according to the even most pessimistic estimates, Ukraine is not going to lack food. However, the countries that rely on the export of food from Ukraine, unfortunately, will, in the best case scenario, will experience the rise of the prices for commodities, and those prices will be affected even for 5 years or so. That's one of the pictures. This is the picture of the bombed multi-story building, and you see the furniture is still there. So there are no walls, but the furniture on the wall, inside wall, is still there. And it's about Ukraine. How are you? I'm holding on, hanging on. Another photo of the fields right now. You understand why it is. What's the real? This is the recent publication on the 17th of April. The conclusion is made by the Bild, the German newspaper, that Russia is targeting the agricultural industry in Ukraine. This is one of their priority targets, because they want to destroy the strongest Ukrainian side and all the chains of supplies. And that's why Ukraine needs, the title has, Ukraine needs to be armed more effectively in order for the industry, agriculture industry, not to be ruined. More photos, you can see what kind of tillage that is. And this is the demining process going on in the villages next to Kyiv Oblast. No, this is the same photograph. Now there another interesting piece of news that you know the right Chechen troops in Russia who are supporting Putler very much, and Kadyrov is the leader of these troops. They are known to be the most terrorizing and the most cruel troops. However, they failed in Kyiv, and they failed in some of the locations in the south, in Mariupol. So far, Mariupol is still having Ukrainian so-called stronghold, where our Azov troops are secured in the, secured. They are hiding in the Azov steel production facility in the basements. So there used to be a dealership, a John Deere dealership in Melitopol. Once the city was captured, there were two planters, as you can see right now here on this is by Weatherstad, but this is John Deere and multiple branded dealership. Two John Deere tractors, one tractor and two combines. And all of them were stolen. And recently it was, by the GPS tracking system, was found in Chechnya, in the small town. I don't remember the name of it. There is an article, maybe I will look it through while we are talking, but this is the village in where the government, not the government, but the most active politicians in Chechnya are always making videos of how much good they are doing for their country or so. So they are actually doing self commercial, so to say, in that village. And this is where there is a big farm, also considered to be the high-end farm, and this equipment was found there. So I don't know, but this is the message probably for John Deere. I'm sure that if it were about Tesla, it would be easily blocked from doing its function. Probably this is what needs to be done with this equipment as well, because this is I don't know, it doesn't fit any law, looting and then using it publicly and showing off. That's nonsense. It needs to be punished. Now about the history, why I said that this is not the first time that they are trying to get rid of Ukrainians and the Ukrainian agriculture. You know, it is still missing one more fact, that in 1918, it started in 1918, then 1919, when the communists came to Russia, they also came into part of Ukraine, and Ukrainian farmers who were very, I'd say, rich farmers, because they were successful, they had a lot of land, a lot of animals, they had good houses, much better than in Russia. So when those lazy parasites, communists came, of course they felt that they are they felt greedy, and they took off all the property from Ukrainians and forced them to join the collective farms. You know what used to be a collective farm? It is when something belongs to everybody, which means to nobody. It is the very center of corruption, of stealing, and no development at all. Because who would care about somebody's property? Why would you try harder and look for better ways to produce? Then in the year 1932 and 33 came the artificial starvation, which was caused also by Russians. So in 1919, Russians. In 1932-33, again, Russian troops came, and they took all the food, all the crops, all the commodities from the Ukrainian homes, from Ukrainian peasants before the winter. They took all the animals, so nothing. You can imagine, nothing grows, nothing is growing in the field, and there is no food at home. That was terrible, but Russia was exporting a lot of produce to Europe these years, the produce that they have stolen from Ukrainian village citizens, just like the situation with John Deere. This year, the same thing is happening. You can see below 2022, a lot of grain is on the floor. This is after Russia's troops retreated. Under those sacks with grain, there were found mines. The same situation. This is the farmer in Zaporizhia Oblast. This photograph is quite popular. This one, and probably you've seen it. This is how Ukrainian farmers started planting this season. Another photograph of the dairy farm, how it used to be before the Russians and how they left it. It was next to Kharkiv. They just shot the cows. Why? Have no idea. But nevertheless, the planting started. This is the photograph taken in March. Yeah, you've seen this photograph. Okay, here is a video.
Щоб ви розуміли,
Yeah.
що ці тварюки робили, ось тут вони ховались, а коли тікали з сіл, ось провода, дроти, склали картоплю, щоб люди бачили голодні, і замінували це все.
The author is saying that the bastard Russian forces, they were hiding in this cell. They took out all the potato, and when leaving, they mined the potato, because they knew that the first thing people would do, they would take care to bring it back or into the cell or for the planting, and these sacks are mined. So let me now a few facts about, that's right, about the grain system, the grain export. I wanted to show you one more video. Give me a second here. I have it Just a second. Did you know that Ukrainian grain logistics was about 80% dependent on the sea transportation, the export, I mean. Right now, we have about 20 million of the commodities, of grain, corn commodities, which need to be exported. And a friend of mine, he's traveled with me, the Ministry of Agricultural Affairs in Ukraine, Mykola Solsky. He said that he's about spending most of his time on looking the ways how to export the grains because the new season is coming and we have no place to store it. As you know, all the all the Black Sea routes are mined, and no ship, no cargo can be moved through the sea. Instead, the capacity of the sea transportation is about 5 million tons, metric tons of produce per month. Now they are looking for ways to transport it through the railway. All the quotas, which is the limitation for the export, Ukraine has been using those for many time for a lot of times, always, have been dropped when the Ukrainian authorities understood that it is simply not possible to export all the grain. Railroad is the #1 substitution way for the exportation. So like I said, about 20 million, that's roughly, of the produce needs to be exported. It would take about 4 months to export it by the sea. No problem. The new season would come, the winter crops would be harvested, and the same would be exporting. But now the capacity of the railroad has dropped to 0.7 million per month. By some estimates, including all other crops, including the input supplies and so on, it would take us about 40 months to export all the produce to be able to accept the new harvest. And partially, here is the reason why it is such a small capacity. There was just a second. I'm going to show it here. There is a known fact that Ukrainian and Russian and all post-Soviet countries railroad is different in the size between the wheels. The axle's size is about 9 centimeters, which is up to 4 inches wider than in Europe. So this is a problem because when the railroad cart comes to the border, in addition to all the customs declarations and so on, it needs to change the axles. And this is the decision that came up in Reni. This is the Moldovan port, very close to Ukraine. Our size of the rails come into this port. And we can use this port to export our grains. But again, there is a problem because there have been a lot of grain coming from EU, European Union, to that port. Now we need to squeeze in, and with this amount that we have, it is hardly possible. So this is what they made up, how to unload the full cart to the ship, to the, I'm not sure if it is Panamax, but the export ship from the railroad cart. So those are the ways they are looking right now, but still it is not working properly. This is the video I would like to show you. It has no comments. I will translate it, but that's why we decided to do what we are doing right now. This old lady. This old lady is blind. She used to live in this. She's shocked after the bombings.
Давайте вам поможу. Ви чуєте мене? Так, так. Ви мене чуєте? Я до вас заходжу.
Ну що, вони прийдуть чи ні?
Зараз. Наші приїдуть, зараз відвеземо вас у лікарню.
Тут снаряд упав, чи що воно не видно, що?
Ну, так, трошки.
She's saying that are they coming? She's expecting hospital, the doctors and people to evacuate her. She's asking him, the bombs hit my house. Is it badly damaged? He says, yes, it has some damage. And you can hear his voice.
Встала до кроваті, типу поставила. Так посипалось на мене. Тут трохи в мене щось є, да, чи нема.
She's saying, I laid on the bed and it shot the house and it started falling over me, the wrecks of the house, including, so it hit her into the face.
Трошки, так.
А ну, котику.
Все, ми вже в хаті.
This is what happened inside.
Так. Та я закрию двері. Нічого не допоможе, звісно, але добре.
She's saying, please close the door because it is cold. And he says that it's not going to help.
Я закрию, як скажете.
Боже мій. Хіба це було чудово?
Чуєте мене? Почекайте тоді тут трошки, я зараз принесу вам поїсти, добре? І заберемо у лікарню.
Три положечки, більше не треба мені.
Добре, я зараз принесу. Боже. Це просто... Хтось шукає умов, блядь. Жалується на умови. А хтось...
He's saying that somebody is looking for some extraordinary living conditions, but somebody is looking for even the minimum living conditions like this lady. Okay, so now we will proceed. Yeah, one more video of what happened with the bigger farm in the in Sumy Oblast. This is northeast. That's the Vyazove village in Konotop region. Maybe you've heard all those stories about Konotop witches. Yeah, they were this Russians. They were still sitting in the elevator offices, and they left their soldiers dead. But just for fun, they destroyed the electric motors, and they did a lot of, they broke all this servers, the wires, which caused the damage even bigger than it would be from the bombs hitting into the silo. So all the wires, all the electricity was simply destroyed. Why? Okay, so let me ask if Gordy is here. Gordy, are you there? Can you hear me, or you're not here? Gordy is the farmer in Zhytomyr Oblast. He's an American by, no, he said that he will be driving, so I probably will use the WhatsApp. If you are willing to ask the question to him, I will try to turn on the speaker. Give me about a minute to call him to WhatsApp. He will tell his story and what he, as the farmer, is experiencing in the industry of agriculture in Ukraine. What is he doing right now? Okay.
Roman, can you show us on the map where his farm is located?
Yes, sure.
Can you ask him about farm labor issues?
Sure, okay, I will. He, about an hour ago, he said that he's on the border. So this is Zhytomyr. Do you see the map right now?
Yes.
This is Zhytomyr, and this is the Zhytomyr Oblast. Okay, while he's away, I will try to call a farmer from Kyiv Oblast. I talked to him yesterday. He's the potato farmer. He doesn't speak English, but let me try to. I will translate for you. Пане Микола, слава Україні! Я говорив вчора з Іваном. Скажіть, будь ласка, у вас буде зараз хвилин 10? Ми тут знаходжусь в прямому ефірі з американцями, і вони дуже розпитують, як нас, нашим фермерам, яка зараз ситуація. Я в Зумі знаходжусь, але якби ви змогли просто розказати, як зараз вам вдається фермерувати і розпочинати сезон. Саме тоді я включаю гучний зв'язочок, секунду. Окей. So we have here Mykola Remarchuk. He is farming near Kyiv Oblast, mainly their vegetables. We call it borscht set, the set of vegetables that are used for borscht: cabbage, onion, red table beet, carrot, potatoes. Пане Микола, передаю слово. Розкажіть, будь ласка, як зараз ситуація в Київській області? Можна, чи вдається проводити посадку та посівну? Дайте перекладу. So thanks God, we're able to plant the small grains, the spring barley, the onions, table grapes, and about 48 hectares of potato. Пане Микола, я чув, що в Київській області половина картоплі засадиться, правильно я розумію? Алло, чуєте? Алло. Пане Микола, я тут. Да, кажу, була інформація, що в Київській області половина полів картоплею буде засаджена, правильно? Mykola is saying that he himself has decreased their planting the fields, the acreage for potato by 15%, but taking into consideration that this territory that I'm showing right now, Chernihiv Oblast, to this area, it might result in 50%, not only in Kyiv Oblast reduction of the hectares, but in all production. Як з робочою силою зараз?
Літало, до нас прилітало, але орків у нашому селі не було.
So when the war started, by the way, do you hear Mykola right now? Because I had a message that you couldn't hear him. Can you hear him right now when I just...
Yes.
Please let me know if you can hear Mykola on the phone.
Yes, we could hear the last few words.
Good. Good, thank you. So Mykola said that he understood that they need to be working in the fields, although the actual front of the military actions has approached very close to the area, and they were planning to do the planting as usual. Так, Mykola, далі продовжуйте.
І це дозволило нам, що наші поля не були заміновані, і нам би так би
Зробили обстеження полів дроном, зробили обстеження наземне, що там залишалось, почистили поля, і ми так би з запізненням десь на 2 неділі пішли в польові роботи.
So being present in the field, in the actual production premises, they were able to control more or less the situation with the minings. They used the drones and some equipment to assess the possibility of those explosions, but they still made it to start the planting with 2 weeks being late. 2 weeks being late, but they continued to work. Тобто в ваше село не заходили орки, правильно я розумію?
Ні, слава Богу, наші хлопці на блокпостах показали свою спроможність, і вони, скажімо так, побачили, що до нас краще не заходити, що нас і спасло, тому що згуртованість всіх наших селян дала можливість утримати.
If you take a look at this road over here, I'm showing right now. Mykola's farm is located on this southern side from the road. And the Russians, they were coming from the Chernobyl zone and they were going like this. So in some areas, they succeeded to cross this road and go further, but not in the village where Mykola is located. He says that their soldiers did good job and protection in these block posts. They show that there will be hard fights for Russians, and they didn't dare to come into their village, although the artillery was flying over, and it was so all this area was dangerous. А як по працівниках? Скажіть, будь ласка, у вас дуже велика кількість найманих працівників. Чи частина з них були змушені покинути сільське господарство і піти в армію? Чи, можливо, втекли в плані пошуків просто безпечних місць? Чи вистачає у вас зараз рук?
З наших працівників, що працювали, в нас сьогодні 3 чоловік в Збройних силах, 1 призваний, 2 добровольців, в тому числі мій менший брат, який зараз в Краматорську.
А скільки всього працює?
Зараз в нас до 40 чоловік вже працює. Ми не зупиняли роботу не на день. Єдине, що була пауза з 8 числа по 21, в тому числі я виїжджав, бо вивозив дружину і там залишився трошки. Але підприємство працювало. Працювало за рахунок цих місцевих людей, які залишилися, і вони працювали постійно, ми забезпечували армію, блокпости і населення, яке залишилося, продуктами борщового набору, пшеницею, муку, скажімо так, що пшеницю перебивали на ДКУ, коли не могли довозити хліба, пекли хліб, тобто життя йшло, не зупинялося. Незалежно від тим, що снаряди над нами літали, прилітали, так що народ, я своїми працівниками горжуся, тому що вони, патріоти.
Mykola is proving my observation for the last dozen years working in agriculture. So the farmers who are native to the villages, they're doing the business in the villages they were born in. They are patriots of these locations. They take care of the people as of their family members. So out of 40 people working in his farm, only 3 went into the army, and his younger brother is one of the volunteers. So one of those 3 was asked to come because he was obliged by the law, and the 2 others, including his younger brother, went to army as a volunteers. They didn't stop the work, and all those who are native, all those workers, laborers in his farm who are native to the village, they stayed there. When there was no supply of food, they were using their grain, just crushing it, not milling, but crushing it and making bread with the rough grinding. because there was no other way. They were supplying the vegetable produce to the soldiers that had these block posts, to the people in the village for free. So they were supplying, they were making sure of the taking care of the food security in the village. And the only thing that Mykola needed to secure his family, and between the 8th of March to 21st of March, he took them to the Western Ukraine. So he was away. That's the only time he was away. But the people were working in the farm. А яка у вас загальна площа?
Загальна площа в нас 720 гектарів.
So the total acreage, hectarage, is 720 hectares. Like I said, potato, onions, carrots, table beets, cabbage, and small grains. З дрібних зернових, це ви всі в зміні повинні, там у вас пшениця йде, ви казали ячмінь, да?
Так. Ні, пшениця, яра, озима пшениця, і, скажімо, на іншому відділенні за 50 кілометрів звідси, там соняшник в цьому році буде. То ми, як засіємо тут, вже картоплю посадимо, овочі досіємо, тоді переходимо на соняшник.
So in the crop rotation with the vegetables, they need to have some small grains and oilseeds. So mainly in small grains, they are considering wheat, winter or spring wheat, and sunflower. So when the potato is going to be planted, their location within the 50 kilometers from here, they have in fields will be planted with the sunflower. Скажіть, будь ласка, по забезпеченню витратними матеріалами і пальним, саме головне, наскільки аграрії зараз відчувають нестачу? I'm asking about the lack of inputs, including the fuel. How the Ukrainian agricultural producers are lacking the supply of inputs. Пане Микола.
Романе, ну, скажімо так, що в мене було частково, я завжди десь ще осінню закуповую стільки, скільки в мене є тари, це біля 20 тонн дизеля закуплено, в резерві було, так само і добре було закуплено, насіння. Тобто, ну, скажімо, ресурсами забезпечений.
Микола is lucky to have...
Напруга то є з дизелем, але забезпечений. В цьому році весною також вже 10 тонн закупили.
He had about 20 tons of diesel purchased in the fall, as well as the fertilizers and the seeds. So everything was purchased upfront, and he is lucky because that helped him to guarantee that the planting season is done well. But even in the spring time, he purchased additional 10,000 of diesel. So it was possible. That's the key region. Дизель ви вже придбали після того, як орки відійшли, правильно я розумію?
Так. Коли вже ви бачили, що бачили, що буде можливість сіяти, так, тоді шукали ресурси, щоб забезпечити.
А ціна наскільки підросла на дизель?
Ціна сьогодні підросла на дизель, Рома, десь до 30-40%.
When they understood that the Russians are leaving, maybe you've heard, we are calling them also orcs, because they were acting like these creatures, terrorizing the people. So when they started to leave, to retreat, and Mykola understood that the season can be saved, so he succeeded to purchase another 10,000. But the price for the diesel right now is 40% higher than it was before the war. If you have questions, please go ahead, ask. I will translate. Микола, як ви взагалі оцінюєте загальну ситуацію по сільському господарстві в Україні і по цих областях, які були звільнені на Північному Сході, ви там, напевно, добре знаєте, і також окремо, як на півдні? Ваше враження?
Ну, скажімо так, те, що дають сьогодні аналіз, то десь 30% площ в Україні буде засіяно. Я можу більш точніше
30
сказати, що
не буде 30.
не буде засіяно. Десь так кажуть, 70-75% буде засіяно. Я тут де ближче, скажімо, це Київщина наша, без поліських районів, то практично сіє вже посів ярих ранніх завершений. Скажімо так, що хлібороби, вони в будь-які часи знають, що треба навіть і військових кормити, забезпечувати тил завжди. Тому оця солідарність, оця відповідальність завжди буде в хліборобських душах, і вони не залишать наших людей, наших охоронців, наших вояків без продуктів харчування.
So according to, I asked what is your, as the farmer, estimation, what is going to be the season like this year in Ukraine. So according to his estimate, Ukraine will be planted. So we are collecting the data from different sources. And for example, Mykola is more from the practical, from his colleagues. So I've heard the worst estimates up to 40% of the fields will not be planted. Mykola is saying that right now the numbers are more optimistic, about 30. So 70, in best case scenario, 75 of the total areas of Ukrainian fields will be planted. And he says that this is because of their loyalty to what they are doing, of the farmers. They understand that this is very important to feed the soldiers, to feed the people, to make sure that they are well fed in order for them to do their job good. That's why they never give up what they're doing and never relax, even under the conditions that we're having right now. Зрозуміло. А по продажу, наскільки реально зараз реалізувати продукцію, яка у вас на складах, борщовий набір, наприклад?
Надзвичайно складно, надзвичайно, скажімо так, ціни впали, реалізації овочів практично майже немає. Зернова група із 9 тисяч сьогодні пустилась до 6 тисяч, тобто напруга є. Але не в цьому питання, скажімо, ми надіємося, головне, щоб був мир.
А ви думаєте, із-за чого це настільки складно з продукцією продавати? Із-за розбитої ланцюгів поставок?
Дивись, Романе, якщо брати борщовий набір, то сьогодні основна частина жінок виїхала. Залишилася в основному чоловіча частина. То їм простіше якийсь бутерброд зготувати, чим готувати борщ. Якщо брати по зернових групах, по соняшнику, то немає реалізації, тому що в нас сьогодні всі порти заблоковані. І за цього обвал пішов на внутрішньому ринку.
So Mykola, I asked Mykola about the sales of the produce, of the commodities that he has in the storages. So he has small grains, wheat, he has sunflower, he has all the vegetables. He said that this is a very bad situation on the sales. First of all, if you were able to sell for 9,000 hryvnias, the wheat, right now it is 6,000. Sunflower, the same, due to the inability to export. This is not going to be sold easily, and especially the prices dropped. As for the vegetables, such an interesting fact. He said that very drastically the orders of the markets have dropped for his produce. I said, why do you think is that so? The reason is that the vegetables used for cooking are used mainly by women. So our Ukrainian women, they are cooking the best, the most tasty borscht, and all the dishes that are more complicated to be cooked, they include the vegetables, and they are done by the women. And the women have been escaping the war. The men stayed, but the women, they fled to west or to other countries. That's why the men who stayed, they can make themselves a sandwich or something like that, but not cooking serious dishes like using the vegetables. he's seeing the reason for dropping of the sales of the vegetables as one of the reasons that the women left. But he says that it's not a problem. We can survive that. The most important is peace. As long as we can fight back, then we will be okay. Дякую, Микола. Дуже велике вам дякую. Do you have questions, ladies and gentlemen? Because I will be letting Mikola do his job, and we will proceed with the further plan of our today's talk. Дякую, Микола, велике. Буду вас відпускати. Бережи вас Боже і успіху на полі бою.
Добре, Роман, дякую. Передавайте від нас, українців, велику вдячність американцям за те, що вони величезну допомогу нам оказали в підтримці засобами захисту і наступу. Це, скажімо, мабуть, завдяки їхній підтримці ми сьогодні думаємо, що зможемо здолати цю орківську орду.
Обов'язково. Так, і вам велике дякую. Микола is saying great thanks to the support of Western countries and the United States for supplying the defending ammunition and the weapon to be able to stop and I'm trying to find the correct word, to hold and to push back this Russian forces. В нас є дуже запитання. Alan, please, I can see that you raised your hand. Please ask a question.
Just pass on, Roman, that if he has issues with his crop this year or lack of fertilizer or questions like we were answering there last summer, please feel free to reach out and ask questions to us. I'll be available to help with that at any point.
Thank you, Alan. Thank you very much. Микола, вам запропонував Алан Перрі, ми з вами спілкувалися про нього. Якщо у вас будуть якісь складнощі в польових роботах, мається на увазі якісь будь-які проблеми, чи з хворобами, чи з нестачою якихось добрив, як їх замінити, чи що, то тільки маякніть, він з радістю вас проконсультує. Це якраз таки по системі Кінсі Альбрехта і традиційних системах. Тобто, підтримає на абсолютно волонтерських засадах. Через мене звертайтесь.
Добре, Романе, дякую. Але ще можу сказати, що тільки сьогодні великий патріотизм, велика любов до нашої держави показала, що українці великі воїни, велика нація, яка згуртувалася абсолютно, не дивлячись, з якого регіону, якої мови, якої розповідання. Стали і одну справу робимо для того, щоб залишитись єдиним, багатим українським народом.
Дякую, Микола, гарні слова. Mikola says that it is very important that this war showed Ukrainian patriotism that fueled up us and Ukrainian soldiers to defend the country, our integrity. And it didn't play any role what type of what location you are from within Ukraine, whether the West or the East, what language you are speaking, Ukrainian or Russian or others, or what religion or what church you are going to, Orthodox, Catholics, baptism or anything. We are all united against the threat coming and wanting to destroy us and the whole world. So we have this situation has joined us as much as it can be imagined. Дякую, Микола.
Дякую.
Сподіваємося на швидку перемогу, а далі будемо працювати над відбудовою. Всі разом.
Все.
Щасливо.
До перемоги, а вона ближче і ближче.
Так, це точно.
Добре, дякую, рад чути тебе.
Навзаєм, бувайте. Mikola said, let's go to the victory. It is approaching closer and closer. So now we will proceed with the information how our WRRU project is going to be implemented and what are the actual results that we have gained. If you have any questions, please go ahead, interrupt me. I'd love to answer them because this is why we are here. We still have about 20 minutes left, and I would like to yes, answer the questions if you have ones. Also, we have, so last time, 2 weeks ago, let me probably go even earlier. How did the idea of the World to Rebuild Rural Ukraine project came into our minds? When I needed to move with my family and 4 more families of my friends and colleagues to Germany. And I was able to leave the country as the multiple children father. So I decided to secure the ladies and then was going to come back to Ukraine as well. But it happened that, first of all, we decided to do what we planned to run the micronutrients conference. It was done for free, like an open event. And also the farmer's daughter in Germany, she was graduating the courses just like MBA, and their group of people, they group of students like friends in the class, they collected 1,000 euros and they asked me if I can make sure that this money will be given as a charity, as a donation to those who really need it. So I called the farmers in Ukraine, and one of them, as it turned out, one of them was hosting a family, and the previous connection that we had was the story of this family, how they were evacuating from the Chernihiv, from the village near Chernihiv. And it took them a couple of days and a couple of rounds to evacuate all the family. Their home, which was rebuilt from scratch after World War II, it was just destroyed. Then their grandparents rebuilt it, and the new generation, they decided to not to go into the city but to stay in the village. They modernized the house. They they built some conveniences like water, gas, electricity, internet, and things like that for the use of their children. Once they finished it, they were just purchasing furniture this winter. Their new war came, and again their house was destroyed. So that was a very difficult situation to listen, because the older lady who survived that during World War II destroyment of her house, she nearly survived this one as well. So we passed this 1,000 euros to them, and we understood that these people, these actual village citizens who have no big business, they had about 30 chicken, a pig, they had a tractor with all the implements to do the tillage and to farm their couple of hectares and hectares of their neighbors. It all was destroyed. So we understood that there is a very serious need to help these small people. This is how we set up the idea of the World to Rebuild Rural Ukraine project. Right now, yesterday was an interesting case when I was taking a shuttle from Chicago O'Hare Airport with my family to the hotel. We were tired, and there was a lady coming with us, an older lady. She talked with the driver first, but then she asked a question, where are we from? I told that we are from Ukraine, and she asked the reason why we are here. I said that we are here for the charity fundraising project. She asked nothing else. She gave me $100 and said, I want it to serve good purpose in Ukraine. So it was so astonishing, positively astonishing. It was so kind that I'd say this depicts the full attitude of Americans to Ukraine, as well as a number of other countries. The first donations came from Great Britain. Thank you very much as well. So anyone who is participating, we are grateful. And at this moment, I have not calculated yet fully, but we have gathered about $3,000 plus or minus. And at this moment, we are looking for the new aid recipient. And like I mentioned before, we are not sending out the articles or the notifications that please apply for the aid. A lot of fraud might come with that. Instead, we prefer to talk to, just like I did with Mykola right now, we prefer to talk to the trusted people, trusted farmers who I have personally known for years. And like I said, they are patriots of their villages. They are having their own problems right now, how to survive, but they can point the families who are in their villages in the most need, who have lost their men, who responsible for provision of food and some earnings to the family, who have lost their homes, scratch, who are multiple children families, or who have somebody ill who needs special care. So with this, right now with this task, we've contacted one of the territorial communities, and I have talked to, he's just the volunteer within the administration of the territorial community board. I'm not sure how to translate that, but this is the new administrative union that unites a couple of villages. Volodymyr Ivanovich Lapuk, he said that the village is to the northeast from Kiev. There are a number of villages who are very agricultural, and they have suffered a lot from when the Russians came. So right now I would like to give the word to Maxim. He is representing the deputy from this territorial administration. Доброго дня, Максиме, так, це ви, да, включили відео?
Да, доброго дня.
Доброго дня. So Maxim is the assistant of the deputy from the party of Sluga Narodu, which is the pro-president party in Ukraine. I'm not going to be saying any praises or criticizing any party. We are here not for this purpose, but everybody knows that the name of the party is translated as the servant of the people. So I have asked to gather some information about their territorial community in terms of agriculture, and hopefully the next time when we are going to have this call, we will already be able to tell the story of the next aid recipient in this area. Тож, Максиме, я вас представив. Я так, наскільки я був поінформований, ви помічник депутата від партії Слуги Народу. Я сказав, що ми ні в якому разі ми залишаємося аполітичними. Будь-хто готовий допомагати українським людям, ми підтримуємо. Тобто ми ні в якому разі нікого не рекламуємо в такому плані. А від вас хотіли би почути для того, щоб в майбутньому знати, як допомогти вашій територіальній громаді, яка зараз ситуація, скільки у вас, тобто в певній мірі, якщо можна, такі ось аграрні узагальнюючі підсумки по вашій громаді, по втратах, на жаль, і по спеціалізації.
Я дуже дякую вам за таку можливість розказати з перших уст ситуацію, яка відбувається у нас на окрузі. Ви всі знаєте, що Вижгородський, частина Бучанського району з перших днів були окуповані і тривало...
Дозвольте, я перекладу. So, thank you very much for allowing me to speak. First, to deliver the information firsthand. You know that the region, Bucha region and Vizhgorod region, зараз дозвольте, я покажу тоді на карті, щоб можна було краще орієнтуватися. So, this is the map. Just a second. You have heard about Bucha. Map is slow. It is here. Okay, let's go closer. Так, Вишгород у нас, поправте мене, чи я правильно показую. Вишгород у нас знаходиться ось тут, так? Правильно
Так,
розумію?
і все далі, все, що вище, це все територія Вишгородського району, прямо до кордону.
So all this area around the Dnieper, this is their community, the community which we are going to talk about right now. Продовжуйте.
Хочу сказати, що ситуація в фермерських господарствах дуже різна. І якщо можна так сказати, комусь пощастило більше, а комусь пощастило менше, тому що в окремих фермерських господарствах свою базу робили російські військові.
Some of the farmers have been lucky to have less damage, but the others had their farms used as the basis for the Russian military troops. So they were actually staying on the farms.
Так само можна сказати і про приватні домоволодіння, тому що якщо в загальному сказати про характеристику цих двох районів, велика кількість сіл, і в основному в селах люди здобували всі свої продукти споживання безпосередньо своїх присадибних ділянок.
So this area of these two regions, which is Bucha region, and the administrative name of the region is Bucha region, and the Vyshgorod region, that's the territorial community that I was showing. The majority of the people there were supplying themselves with the food, with agricultural produce, growing themselves, not purchasing from the supermarkets or not exchanging for some other services, but they were growing the food themselves.
І, власне, тому через активні бойові дії, через те, що російські війська окопувалися буквально в городах селян, ми маємо насправді складну ситуацію із доступом до такого ресурсу, як земля, і з можливістю її використовувати за своїм призначенням.
Right now we have a problem because the soldiers were digging this. I'm not sure I'm using the right term. When the soldiers are hiding from the artillery, they are digging these holes, these pits, to be able to walk below the level of the soil. So they've used the people's backyard gardens, the small civilians' backyard gardens, to digging in. So there is a high problem of accessing the land for the people in these regions.
Якщо повернутися до фермерських господарств, хочу навести один із прикладів. В Бородянці є приватне підприємство «Колос», яке обробляє близько 2000 гектар. І саме на базі цього підприємства російські війська облаштували свою базу.
So to provide you an example with the bigger farmer, there is a kolos, which is translated the head of the wheat, the head. It is farming in Borodyanka region. This is the third or the second city that had these terrible pictures from after Bucha. So Borodyanka, the farm there, they are farming about 2,000 hectares of land, and the Russian forces, they made this farm as their headquarters.
Після звільнення цих територій були встановлені наступні, скажімо так, втрати і пошкодження. Перше, це викрадено значну кількість автомобілів, пікапів, якими користувалися аграрії. Також були викрадені вантажні причепи, була розкомплектована техніка, зокрема GPS-трекери, бортові комп'ютери з техніки John Deere, і ви також згадували про цей приклад, якщо не помиляюсь, в Запоріжжі.
Да, Melitopol. So the Russians, they were stealing everything they could steal. First of all, they used all the pickups, the agricultural purpose pickups were taken for the needs of their army, so-called army. Also, the computers, GPS monitors from the tractors, John Deere, and all the units, John Deere units were also stolen, just like the situation with Melitopol John Deere dealer. over there they took all the equipment. Also they stole all the carts, pulling, not self-propelled, but these carts for grains and for all the commodities that are pulled by trucks.
Так само була розкрадена і знищена комп'ютерна техніка, бухгалтерія. Власне, підприємство доводиться починати працювати майже з нуля.
So the farm is starting to rebuild their buildings, including the computers, all the accounting servers, and all the electronics that was valuable was stolen. So they're starting from scratch.
І на сьогодні, якщо говорити конкретно про це підприємство, потребує детального дослідження територія понад 1000 гектар, тому що вона вся понівечена від снарядів, на ній є залишки розбитої військової техніки і, власне, вона потребує детального дослідження. Тому що, якщо сказати про Полісся, буквально от перед нашою розмовою мені сказали, що позавчора двоє фермерів, які намагалися обробити, скажімо так, покропити територію землі, вони підірвались на протитанковій міні, тому є загиблі вже і в таких випадках.
Це де саме Полісся, ви кажете, який саме район?
Це Поліська територіальна громада, це ближче до Чорнобиля, Вишгородський район.
It was just a couple of days ago that Maxim was informed about the explosion when the farmers in this Vyshgorod, the Polissa region of the Vyshgorod region, they were trying to do the spraying, and they hit the mine and exploded. They were вони не вижили, так?
Ні, на жаль.
Unfortunately, they didn't survive. So about half of the total acreage of this farm, Okolos farm, has been under the active military actions and needs to be inspected for the mines. It is wrecked. There are a lot of wrecks of the military machinery on the fields. There are a lot of holes where the artillery bombs, they exploded, and the landscape needs to be fixed after the inspection is done. So this is another problem that this farm is going on.
Коротко про ситуацію, яка є. Якщо говорити про потребу, ми спілкувалися з багатьма фермерами. Насправді існує реальна потреба у реальному доступі до паливно-мастильних матеріалів. Приклад з паном Миколою, який тільки що ваш колега не розказував, це гарний приклад того, як своєчасно зміг підготуватися фермер. На жаль, ті господарства, які були безпосередньо під окупацією, в них всі паливно-мастильні матеріали забрали орки, тому в них пусто, і доступу до цих матеріалів, на жаль, дуже мало, і це дуже складна процедура у їх отриманні.
So the example that Mykola Remarchuk was saying with his supply of fuel and machinery oil materials is the good example, the positive example. However, not everything is that positive, especially in the region we are talking about. Because if the farmer even had a chance to supply himself upfront with all these materials, the Russians, when they came, they took everything out. Remember, I said that they didn't have the support with the fuels, so they were stealing it from everywhere they could, including these pickups and so on. So right now, those farmers who can do the planting, they are facing the problem with with purchasing this fuel, which is higher in price and more difficult to be delivered there.
Також є велика потреба безпосередньо в техніці, зокрема в тракторах, комбайнах, в іншому обладнанні для обробки землі. І головне, що навели приклади, і ми про них уже сьогодні вже двічі говорили, це безпосередньо GPS-системи і бортові комп'ютери саме для тракторів, чи для техніки американського виробництва John Deere, тому що чомусь орки їх полюбили і майже всюди їх повикрадали.
So another problem is the actual machinery, the tractors and the combines, especially the computers, the monitors to those equipment. For some reason, this was a #1 priority for the Russian forces. They were stealing from every agricultural unit these monitors by John Deere. The priority was given to John Deere. So right now, even if the tractor is there, it is not able to fulfill its action due to the lack of these monitors. Again, the recommendation for John Deere, I hope I will have a chance to speak to them while in the United States, to block all those monitors that were stolen, block forever, just like distantly it can be done with other electronic units.
Насправді, це основні потреби, які є. Що стосується робочої сили, що стосується технологій, що стосується посадкових матеріалів, слава Богу, що потреби в цьому немає. І основні аспекти серед середніх фермерських господарств я вам розказав. Що стосується безпосередньо самого підприємства «Колос», мене просили передати, що вони готові прийняти будь-яку делегацію, розказати, як вони змогли мужньо пережити цей час, і все-таки продовжують і планують продуктивно працювати протягом цього посівного сезону.
Ми обов'язково до них навідаємося, це я вам обіцяю, тому що як тільки буде можливість, тому що, ну, якби, про це треба говорити. Потрібно донести інформацію про те, що за сусід у нас на північному сході. Maxim is saying that these are the probably the biggest difficulties for the issues for the farmers right now, because they are not having problems with the supply of the inputs, of the other inputs like seeds, with the labor. They still have enough labor. So the land and the equipment that was destroyed and the fuel. Also, the farmer from Kolos, he said that any one of you is welcome to come and see, and they will tell their story, how they managed to survive. I said, I promise that this is going to be going to happen for sure. We will ourselves pay a visit, and if once it is possible, we will bring anyone willing to see. Пане Максиме, скажіть, будь ласка, наша ціль допомоги все-таки саме дрібним селянам. Скажіть, наскільки можна оцінити збитки, нанесені саме ось таким от не одноосібникам, а просто селянам, які мають там пару гектар землі. Тобто, як ви це оцінюєте? I said that farmers, we've heard the situation with farmers. What about the small individual citizens of village that who have been raising the commodities themselves? How much damage did they, in addition to the soil, to the fields, how much damage they got?
Що стосується безпосередньо малих фермерів, я не хочу говорити, скажімо так, гучні слова, але на наше власне переконання, кожна 10-та домівка постраждала внаслідок війни з Росією. Це може проявлятися як і в знищенні самої будівлі, так і пошкодженні родючого шару ґрунту, викрадення техніки, ну та інших страшних наслідків від цих всіх страшних подій. Це що стосується Вижгородського району. Да.
So I don't want to be providing, to be claiming that this data is very accurate, but according to our estimation, every 10th family, family village citizen have suffered from the damage either of their buildings or of their equipment that they used for farming, or of their land plots. For your information, I would like to add that the bigger farmers, yes, Alan, I can see. I will just a second ask you. The Ukrainian farmers, they are in majority cases not owning the land. They are renting it from the land plot holders. So if you go back, зараз, Максим, я чуть розкажу, що таке наділ і як фермери зараз, на яких землях фермерують, чому є в кожного там 2-3 гектара землі, яку вони можуть давати в оренду. So after the collective farms collapsed, and the land that was farmed by the collective farm in the region was distributed evenly between the population of that region. It was when the independence happened. In 2000, the collective farms, the actual buildings and equipment, production premises, these things, they were able to be privatized because they were not profitable at all. They were hardly surviving, and the Ukrainian government decided to give it off in order not to supply with the budget money. And the people who lived in these villages, they, having raised some money, they purchased these almost bankrupt collective farms and started to bring them up by doing things right, by controlling the corruption, the stealing, and making the people work more effectively. And some of the citizens of the villages of these territorial communities, they are renting out their land plots that they received from the government in the beginning of independence. Some are continuing to farm themselves. So those who rent them out to the bigger farmers, this is what, for example, Kolos is farming. But there are those who have these couple of hectares doing their farming themselves. This is what we are kind of like targeting in. Usually these smaller agricultural producers, they are not able to get a loan, to get some kind of the, to get into some kind of the governmental program. For example, right now, there are the programs that give out loans to the farmers without any interest rate. And unfortunately, this is targeting mainly to the bigger farmers and medium and bigger farmers, not the small ones. They do not have enough collateral. They do not have the history of good history of financial history to support these loans. So this is how it works. Максиме,
Так, якщо говорити про окремі села Вишгородського району, зокрема село Демидів, окрім того, що там були окопані російські війська, що значно пошкодило родючий шар ґрунту, там сталася аварія чи вибух на дамбі, яка перепиняла річку Ірпінь, і сталося підтоплення майже всієї території села, відповідно всіх городів і частини полів мешканців цього села.
Це там, де зоопарк, так? 12 місяців?
Так.
So there is a village named Demidov. It is famous for the private zoo named 12 Months. And also the village is located in the lower area, and there is a dam from the Irpin River that was closing the village from being flooded. Unfortunately, the Russians, they destroyed this dam, and majority of these plots, land plots, are, and majority of the village is flooded right now. So there is no access to the water, to the fields. Alan, please, you were going to ask something. Now it is right.
Yeah. I wasn't trying to hurry. I did that kind of by mistake. The comment I wanted to make, farmers in Ukraine are very tough and independent like farmers everywhere, and we're not very good at complaining and documenting things. It would be especially helpful and useful to take pictures of these issues that you're talking about, the lack of computer monitors, the issues in the fields, because in 3 months a lot of that evidence is going to be gone because we're farming and we've gone past that. But it would be really helpful to show people here locally and all over the world what we're up against and what we're trying to get help for, and then later to document for historical things. But I don't know if that's something you guys can actually do, or if the government is trying to do that, but it would be great to have small little videos that I could show people at home that they're anxious for information.
Yes, we will. Thank you for the advice. We will definitely do it. And this is just the second time we are connecting. All of this advice will be taken into consideration for the next sessions in 14 days, in 2 weeks. Максима, Алан порекомендував, каже, для того, щоб інформація не загубилася, тому що фермери, каже, як в Україні, а він, до речі, минулого року об'їхав з нами Україну досить таки потужно. Ми зі Львова, Рівне, Житомир, Київська область до Кіровоградської об'їздили фермерів. Він каже, що українські фермери, як і іноземні, американські, вони дуже самостійні і не звикли жалітися. Тому зараз, виходячи в поля і фокусуючи свою увагу на тому, що треба робити посівну і треба якось продовжити рухатися, ці факти крадіжок, мародерства, включаючи ось вкрадених моніторів в John Deere, вони можуть потім загубитися десь. Тому, каже, в мене тут дуже багато знайомих, він знаходиться в штаті Мейн, яким цієї інформації бракує, і хто знає, можливо, доступ до цієї інформації буде потім корисний. Тому, можливо, давайте якось, ми також, це зараз оці включення регулярні робимо, вчимося робити більш корисними і більш ефективними саме для української сторони. Тому ми з вами потім поспілкуємося, як зібрати ці дані, показувати світу справді, з чим ми маємо справу і з чим, якщо ми, не доведи Боже, не виграємо, доведеться мати справу іншим. Але цього не буде. Це, я вірю в це.
Обов'язково.
Гаразд тоді. Так, Максим, якщо є ще щось додати, будь ласка.
Якщо можна, буквально 2 хвилини.
Так.
Тому, повертаючись до проблеми, яка існує для маленьких фермерів, називаємо їх так, знову ж таки, проблема доступу до паливно-мастильних матеріалів і доступу до посадкового матеріалу саме в них. Чому? Тому що після того, коли засіють і посадять, скажімо так, основні площі великі фермера чи середні фермера, малі господарства мають можливість там отримати якісь надлишки і так далі. Що стосується пропозицій до координації цього проекту, якщо я можу їх висловити і дещо порадити.
Так.
Ефективним на сьогодні у відборі таких людей є інститут старост, який є в кожному селі, в кожному населеному пункті, і вони можуть бути комунікаторами з вашими координаторами проекту і допомагати виявляти сім'ї, які потребують допомоги, і більш коректно спрямовувати цю допомогу, яка надаватиметься, щоб вона ефективно використовувалася. І ще важливо, що би хотів підкреслити, що все-таки, як і будь-яка проектна робота, вона потребує оформлення заявок і певна документальна робота, тому, враховуючи, що це люди з сільських місцевостей, їм треба допомагати безпосередньо з оформленням цих документів, і така форма має бути простою і доступною. Ми також готові до цієї роботи долучитися, і чим ми можемо бути корисні, ви завжди можете на нас розраховувати.
Тобто ми в рамках проекту відбудуємо, а ви всю документацію на оформлення цього об'єкту берете на себе, правильно я зрозумів?
Ми готові це взяти на себе, звичайно.
First of all, it is worth mentioning that although the bigger farmers said they have no problems with the seeding materials, with the seeds for all various commodities, it is still a problem for these small individual citizens, village citizens, because they usually were purchasing it from the farmers, the remainings of those seeds from the farmers or from their own local, from their storage from the previous years. Right now, they lost a lot of those. The supply of the new seeds to the market is problematic. The farmers, they have enough of their own, but the smaller village citizens, they need to be looking for those seeding materials. So this is the problem in addition to the fuel that they need and to the lost tractors. Also, Maxim proposed to things that can improve our project World to Rebuild Rural Ukraine. In each of Ukrainian regions, there is a so-called monitor. This is the volunteer, so to say, organization who are supporting the people. It's like the in many other countries, probably religious or churches are doing this job. But in Ukraine, so there are these monitors, and they would be able to help. Yeah, they would be able to help us identify the donation recipients. Also, we are talking within our project about the rebuilding and reconstruction of the premises. But all of these premises, they need the documents to be made. So once you build the house, you need the documentation so it is officially registered. And Maxim and his office, they propose to support with the documents on as volunteers. So we will be reconstructing, and they will be making it legal from the documents standpoint of view. Thank you. Let me see the messages, because I was busy talking and couldn't read. Okay, thanks for having. Is there any way that grain shipments can leave Ukrainian ports through the Black Sea, such as in? No, right now all the access to Ukrainian ports is mined, and even furthermore, Russia said that those were Ukrainians mining the Black Sea. And when they were claiming that Ukrainians mined the Black Sea, they accidentally provided the exact number of mines that were found in the Black Sea. How would the one who did not mine know the exact number of those mines? And another thing, that's probably more of the who are the Russian military and Russian troops? You've heard a lot of things about looting, and there is even more. They've been stealing everything they can steal from Ukrainian homes. And I couldn't find right now, but by the next time, probably I will find the video, the photographs, where the tanks and armored military vehicles, when they were retreating these regions, they were having on top of it tied these carpets, these everything they could steal from the homes, including the live farm animals. Can you imagine a cattle being tied up to the tank, and the tank is driving through the village? You wouldn't. The people who saw that, the witnesses, they said that you wouldn't even be able to say what type of military equipment that is, because it was covered with all those items, including the farm animals. What can I say? The second strongest army in the world. Thank you, everyone. I will be, first of all, I'm grateful that you connected today. As I said, we are just trying to make these sessions more informative. So any of your recommendations are welcome. And I would like to ask you to spread the word about the project World to Rebuild Rural Ukraine. The website of it is very simple. Let me share it once again. It is, just a second, WRRU.org, and all the information, how it works, how it is being implemented, and what are the criteria, and how to donate is here. We are working on improving this website. We just moved to this domain, and there will be more and more information coming here as time passes, and more testimonies and more participants joining, because it is a very fresh project, and we hope it will be working for a long time, because the rebuilding, it takes some more time than just finding Kevlar caskets or some ammunition for the people for the warriors. So thank you. If you have any questions, please ask them, or otherwise we will see you in 14 days. And you know my email, roman@travelite.com.ua. I will be traveling with my family through the United States of America, and we will be sending out the emails to all of you with the news, and everything that we see and we observe and what we gain will be regularly reported on these sessions and on our website, WRRU. Okay, so thank you and have a nice weekend.
Thank you, Roman.
Дякую, на все добре.
Дякую вам, до побачення.